I didn't really want to be known as that chick that got played by that dude in the 50-part series. They saw the 50 parts. They saw what they read. She got this deal, that deal. She's made all this money that I'm like, where? I feel like my responsibility in keeping it real is to say there is a viral tax that everybody has to pay.
Many of us met Teresa Johnson as Reesa Teesa when she captivated us with her 50-part Who the F Did I Marry series on TikTok in 2024. And although that story was how we were introduced, there is so much more to her. Now with her new book, What the F Do I Do Now, she's letting us in even deeper to share her learnings on growth, vulnerability, releasing shame, and what it looks like to face your fears head on. She's a true testament of what it looks like to turn lemons into lemonade, use her life lessons for a greater sense of purpose, and of course, create her own luck. Teresa, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to have you because I have been following your story ever since you first let us in a couple years ago and was so excited to have you on She's So Lucky.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
It's been really exciting to see the ways that you've created your own luck the past couple years.
Thank you.
So I would love to start off by hearing about a moment where you recently felt lucky.
Today, because today my book is out. So when I woke up this morning, I had a moment of, you really did it. You did something that very few people have been able to achieve. You've done something that can never be taken away from you. Like, you've actually achieved becoming a published author. So it was literally this morning at like 5:00 when I sat down and really was like, this, you were really blessed. You're lucky that you're in this moment. Like, soak it in. So this morning.
Yeah. And it's such an amazing accomplishment. So I'm so glad that you were able to have that moment with yourself to soak it in and be really present for it.
Yeah. And it felt good.
Yeah.
It feels accomplished, but then it's also like, it's out there. Good, bad, or ugly, it's out there. And, I stand by the book, but the book is very raw. So there is that moment of, okay, you've opened the door, you've opened yourself up. And hopefully my hope is that it resonates with the listener or the reader, depending on how they get the book. But I hope that they walk away knowing more about me outside of remember that girl on TikTok that did that 50-part series? Like, I hope that they are like, wow, I understand her a little bit better. Some of these decisions were still kind of crazy and bad, but I understand her a little bit better. That's my hope. So it's been a lot of self-reflecting, but felt lucky. Felt good.
Yeah. I love that. I love that answer. Thank you for sharing, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
So exciting. So I think a lot of us remember back in, it was early 2024, February 2024, going on TikTok and seeing the beginnings of a series that you shared. But I would also love to talk kind of to what we were just saying, more about who you are outside of that. That is one piece of your story, but you're also a whole person who had a whole life before that and has lived a lot of life since.
Yeah.
And so I would love for our audience to get to know you a little bit better and how you would describe yourself outside of that series and how we were all introduced to you.
Outside of the series, so I love to laugh. Like, I feel like you really can't be around me for about more than 5 to 7 minutes and at least chuckle. And I love that because I think laughter has gotten me through some really, really hard times. And so the ability to make people laugh effortlessly is something that I love about me. I'm a nerd, and I'm a proud nerd. I love, history. I love weddings and romance, even from a point of, at times I've kind of been guilty of being a hopeless romantic. It's kind of changed a bit recently, but to my core, I still love, being around family. I love, being around my friends and having a good laugh and just being myself, because I think I am quirky, but I can talk to any person from any place of life and I'll find something to have a conversation about. And so I've always been that way ever since I was a little girl. So that's something that a lot of people don't know about me. Like, I don't want to be defined as, child, she married Legion because she was desperate. And yes, there's so many layers to that. But as a woman who, I'm 41 years old, like, I'm embracing the fact that, child, this is who I am. This is me. And learning to laugh about it, learning to crack jokes on myself. And because I don't want to take things so seriously. You know what I mean? Like, social media is something that I cannot explain how things went viral. But who I am when I turn off the phone, I turn off the camera, is still very much all right, I'm finna binge watch The Crown. I love period piece stuff. So I'm a Bridgerton girl, The Crown and Game of Thrones. But that's me.
Yeah.
I'm me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I love what you just described about leaning into laughter and just like learning to not take things as seriously. And you mentioned being 41. Do you feel like kind of entering your 40s that has also helped you just kind of let go a little bit?
I think turning 40 absolutely did.
Yeah.
Like, turning 40, I remember I went on a solo trip to Punta Cana by myself at this resort where there's nothing but couples. And I was by myself. And I was sitting on the beach on my actual birthday, taking it all in, the fact that, just a year ago, life was very different because a year before it was 2024. So taking it all in and just really having to let a lot of stuff go and learning to accept the things that I really never thought I was going to have to accept. But I talk about in the book where I'm making peace with certain things. And making peace, I want people to understand that I am actively in the process of making that peace. So some days I do feel like, God, I'm not where I wanted to be at 41. Other days, my mind is blown as to where I am at 41. So it's kind of a tug of war. But I'm trying to make peace with, this is who you are, and this is where you are, and not letting some of the mistakes that I've made define me. And I did that a lot in my 30s, a lot. So now it's kind of like, listen, good, bad. My new thing now is good, bad, or ugly. At least I'm trying, and at least I own it. So that's where I'm at.
I loved what you just said about kind of being in the process, because I think sometimes we can feel like finding a sense of peace or acceptance, it's like we do it once and then it's like we're here. But it never works like that.
Yeah.
It's always continuous.
Yeah. It is a process. That one of the things that I really try to drive home in the book was that I am not at the place where I have figured it all out, past tense. I'm in the place where I'm trying to figure things out, because there has to be that room for grace. And the biggest thing that I'm struggling with now in the grace and forgiveness is grace to myself and forgiveness of myself. It's easy to forgive someone else, but I don't think a lot of us spend time to forgive ourselves for the decisions that we made, instead of being embarrassed by them or ashamed by them, just trying to embrace it and learn from it, and like embrace the lesson. And that's what I've really been trying to push forward as I'm pushing out the book, as I'm talking about the book, because I'm so tired of seeing people who have quote unquote figured it out. Like, y'all, I finally reached the pinnacle of what is supposed to be enlightenment. And I'm like, I'm not enlightened yet. I want to be, but I'm not there yet. So that's how I'm approaching things these days.
And I think that's super refreshing, because I don't think anybody is ever fully there. I think we can be there to a point, but there's always the next lesson to be learned. We all like to say life be life, and there's always a pivot or a plot twist that life will throw at us. So I think we can have moments of enlightenment, but we're never fully there.
Right. And I don't want to pretend like I am.
Yeah.
Because social media sometimes will make you think, oh man, they must have it all put together. Like, they know the formula. I don't. I don't have it all put together. And so I wanted this book and this even the PR to be as authentic as I could, without, being salacious, without being messy, but being really genuine in the fact that I'm trying. You know what I mean? Like, I know that there are people who feel like Reesa Teesa is a verb. I don't want to be Reesa Teesa. I don't want to be played. And I'm like, there's more to me than the hashtag.
And I think from the beginning, that authenticity that you've had is why you've connected with all of us. It's why we resonated with your story so much in the way that you told it from a place of authenticity and sharing the lessons. And it never felt like a salacious thing. It always felt like a really honest kind of reckoning with yourself and sharing from an honest place. And I think that's part of what made it have the reaction that it got, where we all were so sad and resonated with it.
Yeah.
Because that's how you show up.
And that's how I want to continue showing up. That's how I wanted the book to show up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't want this book to, like I said, to give off, oh, so she thinks that she can now write a self-help memoir. No. I wanted it to give off, I really wanted it to be a conversation between me and the reader or the listener, if they did audio, and really feel like the stories and the lessons, there's something in there that I hope every person, regardless of what country they're in, regardless of where their background came from, there's something in there that they're like, man, I did the same thing. That's my hope.
Yeah.
That's my hope.
Yeah, definitely. You've talked a bit about the timeline of events that kind of happened in your 30s, from your marriage to divorce to the time in between when you decided to share your story. I think you were 35 when you entered that relationship. And then you were 39 when you shared the story. I'm curious about that 4 years in between and kind of what that initial recovery from that period and that initial period of healing before you even decided to share publicly felt like for you.
The 4 years, so year one, I was numb. Year one, and I I was very honest in the fact that I did not want to feel anything. In some ways, it seemed as if I was feeling everything, and so my mental was like, I don't want to feel anything, which is why that was a relationship situationship that I had, and I talked about how I just didn't want to feel anything. That's year one. Year two, it seemed as if a lot of stuff hit me. You know what I mean? Like, it's the idea of the adrenaline kick. So year one was you're numb, but year two, you're going to have to face some stuff and you're feeling all these different things. And I absolutely, in year two, I think is when I felt the most dumb, the most shame, the most embarrassment. Like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to relive it. Like, almost, not that I wanted to bury my head in the sand, but just, I felt really, really bad. You know what I mean? Year one, numb. Year two, bad. Year three, it started to feel a little like, okay, that happened. And I'm just trying to figure some stuff out. That was a mistake. That was a misstep, trying to figure some stuff out. Year four, in terms of going into the series, it really was just like, yeah, that's my story. In a weird way, I think year four was trying to accept. And when I'm talking about acceptance, I am really talking about the whole relationship and marriage. Because those 4 years, a lot of how I was feeling, how I was looking at things was all very much defined by what happened in 2020 and 2021. So year four was kind of like, yeah, that happened. And I woke up one day and simply decided, all right, I'm gonna tell my story. And what I said to myself was, someone will listen. They'll tell someone else about it. It probably won't go too far, and that's okay. Because I knew it was going to be long, because I know me. I'm going to go into detail, and I'm going to tell it in order. But I absolutely thought, because it was long, it wasn't going to, circle around. Because I had never seen TikTok videos that were 10-minute, in the 10-minute feature. So I really kind of thought this is going to travel by word of mouth. But I'm doing it for me. I was in therapy and I felt like my therapist was not listening to me. So I was ready to be heard. And at the very least with TikTok, I felt like once I get it out there, someone is bound to listen. I did not know it was going to be 500 million people, but I knew someone would listen. And that's what made me say, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and tell my story. Like I'm at least ready to say it out loud.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you were beginning to say it out loud, did you feel a sense of relief as you were processing it? How did it feel in those moments when you were speaking it out loud?
So I recorded this series in 3 days. I'm gonna be honest with you, it was like turning a faucet on. Once I started, it was absolutely like, I gotta get this out. I gotta get this out. My thinking was, it was feeling cathartic at first. And when you watch the series, I want to say around it's somewhere in the 40s, part 40. You can kind of see that it was taking a toll on me. And I remember it was taking a toll on me. It was taking a toll, number one, because I wasn't sleeping. Because again, it felt like I gotta get it out. I gotta get it out. Even when it would be 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I had already, in my mind, I was like, I'm done talking and uploading. It was like, nope. Go ahead and upload, like go ahead and get more out. Record it, upload it, go ahead and put it out. So I wasn't sleeping because I was really like just frantic with tell your story. It kind of didn't hit me as far as the comments, and because I wasn't really looking at comments. I wasn't really looking at reposts. So I didn't understand the gravity of the situation really and truly until after the 50 parts were up. Like I knew that there were some people who were like, hey, we're waiting on the next part. But to understand the gravity, I'm still in 2026 just now starting to get that, yeah, a lot of people were tuned in and ready for the next part to drop. And for me, it was almost like online therapy. It absolutely was almost like online therapy at the time.
Yeah. And did telling the story out loud also help you process parts of what happened that you hadn't previously processed?
It did, in a sense that it was very, the thing that surprised me, it was very emotional to tell the story.
Yeah.
I was surprised by that because I had lived it.
Yeah.
My friends knew about it. My family knew. But I was surprised at how hard it was to admit, not so much, oh, my ex-husband lied to me. It was hard. There were certain parts that when I watch it back now, and I got to be careful because there are parts that still will make me cry, even now. And the reason being is because I distinctly remember how I was feeling in that moment when I'm recording and I'm talking, and it hits me. He lied about that. It hits me. He lied about that. Okay, like let me make peace with that. Okay, because you're recording, and I'm seeing myself pause, and I'm like, I'm pausing because I remember it hit me. That was a lie. Oh my God, that was a lie. Like you just have these moments. So yes, it was emotional, but it was emotional because it really took me by surprise at how hard it was. It was hard. I'm glad that I did it.
Yeah.
But it was absolutely taxing emotionally to relive that.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure such a pendulum swing from what you described as the first year where you were trying to not feel anything at all.
And here I am feeling a lot of stuff. And you can't quit because you're like 40 parts in. So you might as well go ahead and finish.
Yeah.
And then around part 44 is when his identity was released. And I didn't want that. I knew it was bound to happen. I didn't expect it to happen while I was doing the series.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it was going to happen later on. And so there was this moment of, I kind of just want to pack up, delete all of this, and go back into my little hole and not feel anything. But it's like you're feeling everything at one time. And the biggest emotion is that self-realization of, I really got played. Like I really got played. So that's what when you watch the series, again, it's like, and I see it because I was feeling it, but in the 40s, you can clearly see that there was a shift from how I was talking in the teens, how I was talking in the 20s.
Yeah.
In the 30s, I was still a little more animated because the 30s is when he got kicked out. And so I was very animated in that one. But then in the 40s, I can clearly see I look exhausted. And I was.
Yeah.
I was exhausted from carrying it. And I was exhausted from not sleeping because I had to get it all out.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, it's officially fall wardrobe transition season, and Quince has basically taken over my closet and my bed and my suitcase, if we're being honest. Their organic cotton and Mongolian cashmere sweaters feel like a hug, but look expensive enough that people ask where you got them. Beautifully tailored, built to last, from morning meeting to dinner without missing a beat. And if you need denim for fall, their premium stretch denim starts at $50, but it fits like a luxury brand. That's the whole thing with Quince. Everything is priced 50 to 80% less because they work directly with ethical factories and cut out the markup. So you're paying for quality, not the name tag. My Quince bedding is one of my favorite purchases. It's genuinely hotel quality, and once you sleep on it, you can't go back. And it's not just apparel and bedding. Think bath, kitchen essentials, and furniture, all with that same everyday elevation. So upgrade your everyday. Download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers or go to quince.com/balancedless. Get free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK too. That's QUINCE.com/balancedless. Download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers or go to quince.com/balancedless. Get free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK too. That's QUINCE.com/balancedless. So I just took my summer braids out, and normally that is the moment that I brace myself for. Braids are amazing until it's time to take them down, and usually that's when I see the most shedding. But this time was different, and I really think it's because I stayed consistent with my Nutrafol all summer. My hair still feels strong and full and not stressed out. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, and it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Their supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested. It's not one size fits all either. There are formulas tailored to different life stages and lifestyles, so you get support that's actually right for you. Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code BALANCEDLESS. That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code BALANCEDLESS. That's $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code BALANCEDLESS. So I've sat down with so many amazing women on this show who have built incredible things from scratch in different industries. They have different stories, but there's always the same moment they talk about, which is the leap. The point where you have the idea, but you have to actually build it. And what strikes me every time is how much of that early fear is just about the logistics and not the idea itself. And that's exactly why I wanted to talk about Shopify today. Their templates and AI tools get you a beautiful, professional storefront up fast, no coding required. You don't have to be a designer. You just point and click, and your site actually looks like your brand, not some generic template. Then there's checkout, which might be my favorite part. It's a one-click checkout for returning customers, so people actually finish buying instead of abandoning their cart, which means you get to hear that a lot more often. And if you get stuck anywhere along the way, Sidekick, their built-in AI assistant, is right there to help you troubleshoot in real time. No waiting on hold and no digging through help articles. All you need is the idea, and Shopify handles the rest. So if you're serious about hearing your first, start your free trial at shopify.com/lucky today. You heard that right. Start your free trial at shopify.com/lucky. That's shopify.com/lucky. Here's something that I believe deeply. You cannot create your own luck without reproductive autonomy. Every big decision that I've made in my life, my career, my finances, my relationships, all of it was possible because I had access to birth control when I really needed it. But access is not easy for everyone. which is why we need to talk about Opill. It is the first over-the-counter daily birth control pill, and it is changing the game. Requires no prescription, no doctor's appointment, no insurance. You can just walk into most major retailers or order it online and get it. Getting on birth control used to mean jumping through so many hoops, and Opill is here to change that. Opill is FDA approved, it's safe and effective, and it's backed by over 50 years of science. So it's not something new or untested. It's the same pill that has actually been prescribed by doctors for decades. It's just finally available without all the barriers. It's also genuinely flexible. You take one pill at the same time every day, and it starts working after 48 hours, and you can start it or stop it whenever your life calls for it. Preventing pregnancy is as easy as Opill. Read all label information and use as directed. Something that really stuck out to me, I mean, I remember when I was deeply embedded into this series and have seen you speak since, is I think that you sharing has opened up a lot of really important conversations around shame for women. The shame that we can carry and that we can feel when we make a mistake or when we, have somebody who is not worth our time, but we give them our time and our attention and our space and all of the blame that we can get, even for being vulnerable. You know what I mean? Or the idea that we get played and all of these things. Yes, it happens, but it also happens because we're vulnerable. And then the shame that we then get put on us for being vulnerable, where it's like, you should have known better, you should have known this, you should have known that. I would love to talk to you a little bit more about your relationship to shame, if you felt it, how you've released it, and how that's feeling for you now.
So first and foremost, I absolutely had a whole one-on-one intimate relationship with shame. For me, it comes a point where it was greater carrying it than it was to release it. Now, let me be very transparent. The 50-part series, I still carried that shame, even when the series was out. I didn't start to let it go until I found out that there were other women and men who went through that. That's really when it became a lot easier to let it go, because the shame came from the fact that I felt like I was the only person that this had happened to. So once you find out you're not alone, it is a little easier to kind of let some stuff go. Like, oh, honey, this has happened to, Judy in Oklahoma. She told me. This has happened to Tom in Michigan. He told me. Like, this has happened to other people. That's when it started to kind of fall. So even though I put that series up, the shame looked different, but it was still there. It really, like I said, it wasn't until I started getting the DM. So I put the series up in February. Probably March or April is when I started to feel like it wasn't just me. Again, all of our stories are different. I think a lot of people have experienced in one way or another what it's like to believe in your significant other, and they were lying, right? We've all been there and done that. The shame for me was the fact that you knew there were holes in his story. You didn't know how deep. I admit that. I never knew how deep it was until I found out. But I knew that the holes existed. And yet I still continued. That was where the crux of my shame came from, because you really wanted it to be your turn so bad that you turned your head and ignored things. I jokingly called it the United Nations of red flags, and people laughed at it, but it was like, y'all, there were so many, and yet I wanted what I wanted. So it wasn't really red. It was more of a pink. It was more of a fuchsia. You're not calling it what it is. And so in the book, I've really tried to explain and to acknowledge my part, because I didn't do that really well in the series. I told the story of what happened. The book is me kind of holding that mirror up to myself and saying, okay, why did you turn your head when you saw those holes? Like, why'd you continue? That's what I answer in the book. And I answer the part about shame, where it came from, what finally lets you let it go. And my hope is that the reader, whoever he or she is, who feels shame, understands you're not by yourself either. because I know what that's like. And that is a very lonely feeling. Very lonely.
Absolutely. And so much of it is it's who we are as humans. Those things that cause us to look the other way, even if our intuition is telling us something, or even if it's, you know, we're vulnerable, or maybe we're naive to an extent when something's happened. It's also part of being human. And I think sometimes there can be so much of like, I should have known better, or telling other people that they should know better. But oftentimes you don't truly know until you're really in it. You have to sometimes experience things. Not to say that we always have to, you know, touch a stove to see if it's hot, but there is so much of that insight really does come from truly living it.
Yeah.
Or hearing people's stories like yours, reading the book, digging into that to really understand the intricacies of that.
Yeah.
We really only learn from either doing or like really hearing those deep stories.
And the thing with this book that I'm also trying to hit home on, not every lesson do you have to learn yourself, right? One of the lessons I had to, and I no longer hate that I had to learn it, but I understand that God was like, you're only going to learn this one way, which is to go through it. There are worse things than being single. That was a lesson I truly had to learn that the hard way. Because if you had told me that in 2022, 2023, if you had told me that in 2018, I would have looked at you like, bless your heart. Now I can honestly be like, there are worse things. Being married to the wrong person, and I said this verbatim, is a different type of hell. I don't wish that on anyone. But I do understand that certain lessons we have to learn by going through it. My hope is that this book saves some people from having to learn their own lesson.
Yeah.
That's my hope. So I'm hopeful with this book. But in order to be hopeful and make that statement, that means that you're going to have to be naked in this book.
Yeah.
And that was the hard decision of how open are you going to be in this book? And I'm at a point where I'm like, yeah, this is what I did. This is what I went through. There is PTSD behind it. I know that some people feel like PTSD is only in the military. No. There's real work I need to do because of a decision I made. And I'm still doing that work. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah, yeah. And also so much of it is deconditioning. Even coming back to the example of the lesson that you just shared where there's worse things than being single. I think it's something that we now have more open conversations about, and a lot more people are understanding and accepting. But that goes against a lot of how a lot of us as women were conditioned to grow up, and we got decades of programming and conditioning that told us the very opposite. And so that's why it can take some time to unlearn.
Yeah, and to be reprogrammed.
Yeah.
And in my case, I talk about how I grew up in the church. And so it was like the pinnacle is, you know, a man finds a wife, finds a good thing.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, yes, you can have your career, but make sure you have a husband and a house and kids to come home to. And so for the longest time, my end game was marriage. My end game was a name change, was to become a mom. And these are things I absolutely wanted. The problem is that I let it run me. And so I made decisions out of a fear of I'm running out of time. I'm 35. My doctor's like, so what are we doing about kids? And so it was like, oh my God, if I want to have a baby, I need to hurry up and meet someone, get married, and then start a family. Like, these are things that I was absolutely conditioned to be like, I want to do it the right way, which is with my husband. And we have a house and we have new cars in the driveway and we, have all these things. And so because I let desperation and the fear of running out of time run me, I made the decision I made, and it cost me greatly. And the cost, and I do admit this in the book, the cost of that decision is still felt. This is 2026. All this happened 2020, 2021. So you're talking that cost is still felt 5 years later, 6 years later. So it's not something that, she released the story time and now she's better. it's a different battle I'm fighting, all because of that decision. So one decision can absolutely, it may not cost you everything financially. Like I didn't lose all my money financially from my divorce. I lost some brain cells, so it did cost me mentally. But it absolutely has scarred me in some ways emotionally. And it is the consequences of the decision that was made.
Yeah. Yeah. I would also love to talk a little bit about intuition and your relationship with your intuition and how it has shifted. I know I've also heard you say that you got to a point where your intuition was blaring at
Like a
you.
bullhorn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. My intuition has always been with me. I have a bad history of not listening to her until things have gotten really, really bad. I'm working to change that. Listen to her now. I actively will ask myself, what does your gut tell you? What does your intuition tell you? What a friend of mine laughed at me because I said I literally start to ask myself out loud, what are you nervous about? What are you fearful of? Out loud.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I do it in private, but there's something that helps about acknowledging out loud, even with the promotion for this book. My stomach has been in knots, and I've gotten to a place where quietly I'm like, okay, what is it your intuition's telling you? What is it that you were nervous about? Like, let's go ahead and acknowledge it. Let's form a plan, because I've made so many decisions and didn't listen to my intuition, only to find out my intuition was right. And so now I'm in this season of, listen, I'm gonna go ahead and listen to her, because she hasn't been wrong yet. She still stays with me, whispering to me, sometimes loud. And I need that relationship because I lost it. And had I acknowledged her in the very beginning, it would have saved me so much heartache. Yes, I probably would not have had a 50-part series, right? I probably wouldn't have had a book called What the F Do I Do Now? I may have still had a book, completely different subject line, but it would have cost me the heartache, because there was a moment where my intuition was screaming at me, something is off. Something is off. Yes, it's COVID. Yes, he said this. Yes, he showed you that, but something is off. And I was just like, Dad, I kept second guessing myself. But what if I'm wrong? But what if I'm wrong? And those words have cost me more than anything else. So there's a chapter in the book where I talk about, now my shift is, but what if I'm right? And that's me acknowledging my intuition. But what if she's right? What if I'm right about what it is I'm feeling? Can I live with that? And if the answer is no, it's time to exit, because I don't have the time that I thought I had, and I don't have the time to waste. That kind of comes from being 41. Like, you just don't have the time. And so who I was at 20, when it was like, I'm gonna just do this, and then I'm gonna settle down like in my 30s. You look up, you're 25. And I'm one of those people who thought she was gonna be married by 25. You look up, you're 30. You look up, you're 35. And now I freaked out. And the whole time she was like, don't freak out. It's gonna be okay. But I didn't listen. And so here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. That what if I'm right is such a good reframe.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
One that I think is helpful for a lot of us to implement and just ask ourselves.
Yeah.
Just interrogate a little bit.
Because the thing is, if what you're feeling is a red flag and you're like, but what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? And it's not this, it's not that. My thing is, okay, but what if you're right? And the next question is, can I live with that? Can I live with, I'm right about what I'm feeling, and now I'm gonna have to deal with the consequences of it? And if you can't deal with it, cut your losses. But so many of us are afraid to cut our losses. And I'm living proof of that, because I absolutely got to a point where I was afraid to be alone. And so something wasn't right, but I turned my head. I didn't investigate because I didn't want to be alone. And yes, it was COVID. And yes, that was a crazy, scary time. But I can't always use that as an excuse. That's where this book comes in, is you can't always hide behind COVID. Yeah, it was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people who I think would absolutely say, but Reesa, COVID wasn't that crazy to end up to do some of the things that you did. So you're going to have to acknowledge your part.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are.
Yeah. Letting multiple things be true.
Mm.
Yeah. You're an amazing storyteller, which I'm sure you know. And I know we've all been telling you for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that people give you your flowers for being an amazing storyteller, and I want to do that as well. But I don't know if we talk enough about how you really changed social media in a lot of ways. And the ways that we consume and share short form content, and the fact that now everybody serialized content is now everybody's strategy, that really came from you.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing thing to see how you opening up your phone and just sharing your honest, vulnerable story really changed the way that stories are told.
Yeah. So it's weird because I see the multi-part stories. I get tagged in them. I'm happy that people are sharing their story. I will never be someone that's like, don't do that. What I feel as a responsibility, and here's why I say responsibility. When I get tagged in some of these stories, I feel like they're tagging me because they're like, look at what you've opened the door for. People feel empowered to share part 1, part 2, part 37, part 45. And my whole thing with that is I want to be part of being authentic is keeping it real. Going viral. Because I feel like some of these stories, they want to go viral.
Yes.
They do. They saw the 50 parts. They saw what they read. She got this deal, that deal. She signed this, she signed that. She's made all this money that I'm like, where? But she's done all these things. And I think that some of these stories are coming from a place of, I want that too.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like my responsibility in keeping it real is to say, there is a viral tax that everybody has to pay. So before you want to go viral, please understand, and I will be the first person in line to keep it real. Yes, there are amazing opportunities that come from it. Yes, your life can change, but also you are going to experience the viral tax, meaning there's a cost. Yeah. That's what I mean by viral tax. There is a cost to going viral. What you love about your privacy very well may be up for questioning. What you feel is sacred may be up for questioning, meaning people, you put it out there, they feel like they can now look into your life. They can now dissect who you are. They can now love you week 1 and absolutely hate you week 4, or vice versa. They hate you week 1, they love you in week 4. You have to be ready for the opinions. You have to be ready for the think pieces that are written, things that are taken out of context, all because you wanted to share your story. You had an experience. You wanted to share it, and you should be allowed to. But if deep down inside you want to go viral, allow me, Reesa Teesa, I'm just one woman, but I'm the first one to tell you there's a cost that goes with that. And that's where I think a lot of people don't know about the cost and don't necessarily want to pay that cost. Because I will also tell you, I did not know about that cost before I uploaded part 1. And I had to learn that the hard way. Yeah, you put things out on the internet. It shocked me how telling my story opened up all of these amazing opportunities, but also opened up all of this criticism. And it really affected my mental health at one point. I'm glad I had a circle of people around me who were like, give me your phone. Because I was looking at comments, I was looking at TikTok lives, and I went down a rabbit hole where I was like, I'm a person. And so I think that at times that social media can almost make you into a caricature.
Yep.
And so I'm all for people sharing their story, But I feel, like I said, I feel like there needs to be a responsibility of, okay, y'all, I'm gonna just keep it real with you. It was not always brand deals. It was not always, oh, she signed with CAA. It was not always a TV show type of deals. It was some moments where I was terrified to open up TikTok because everything I scrolled was my picture and people talking about me and people talking about how I looked, how I sounded, how I deserved what I got. And you don't really expect that when you're sharing your story. So I see the multi-part series. I do. And I'm all for it. I just feel like, just know before you upload what comes with it.
Yeah.
And are you okay with that? And what I see a lot of are people who didn't even go that viral. And they're experiencing the viral attacks. And it's something that I can clearly see they don't want to deal with that. They want their story out there, but they may want the anonymity. And that's something that I feel like if I can help tell your story, I absolutely will. I absolutely will. But I just feel as though keep it real with people.
Support for today's episode comes from Square. There's a coffee shop I go to all the time, and every time I check out, it's fast. I get a text receipt in seconds, and the whole thing just feels effortless. And that's because they use Square. Square just rolled out a wave of new tools during their biannual releases event that makes the same experience even smarter for the businesses running on it. One of the standouts is Square AI. It's basically your automated business partner, and you can ask it things like, what were my top sellers last month? Or which day is slowest? And it hands you instant answers as charts or tables you can actually save and track over time. There's also the new financial suite, which gives you a clear view of your bottom line, compares supplier prices, and even auto sets money aside for taxes or slow months with Square Savings. Plus, everything you always count on: tap to pay, payroll, synced inventory, instant access to your money. Square just launched its most powerful tools yet, built to help local businesses run smarter and faster without the complexity. Right now, you can get up to $200 off Square hardware at square.com/go/lucky. That's SQUARE.com/GO/lucky. Run your business smarter with Square. Get started today. SQUARE.com/GO/lucky. So I've always been someone who wants the full picture when it comes to my health, not just the check boxes. My annual checkup covers the basics, but I wanted to actually understand what's happening inside my body and not hear everything looks normal and move on. That's what led me to check out Superpower. It's one simple lab test that gives you insight into over 100 of your biomarkers, which is so much more than you'd ever get at a standard physical. It looks at your heart, your liver, your thyroid, your hormones, your metabolism, even your gut microbiome, and it actually digs into the why behind how you're feeling, not just a generic, you're fine. 85% of members uncover early risk factors they didn't know about, and 49% even slow their speed of aging. It's proactive healthcare instead of just reacting when something's already wrong. Go beyond your annual checkup and finally understand what's really happening inside your body. For a limited time, our listeners get $20 off to unlock their health membership. Head over to superpower.com and use the code LUCKY for $20 off your $199 Superpower membership. And after you sign up, they'll ask how you heard about Superpower. Tell them She's So Lucky sent you and support the show. Superpower.com and use the code LUCKY for $20 off your $199 Superpower membership. So as summer winds down, it's time for a little reckoning with my budget. The back half of the year always sneaks up on me. Holidays, travel, all of it adds up fast, and I don't want to be caught off guard in November wondering where my money went. So lately, I've been doing money dates with Monarch. I turn on a playlist, I pour myself a fun drink, and I open the app to take a real look at my finances. Now, what I love is that Monarch doesn't just tell you what you already spent. It actually helps you see if you're on track before it's too late to adjust. I can ask their AI assistant things like, how much did I spend on travel this summer? Or can I afford this without touching my savings? And it tells me. There's also the AI Weekly Recap, which flags spending spikes and net worth shifts before they become a bigger problem. So nothing sneaks up on me anymore. It's like having a financial advisor in your pocket, minus the awkward small talk. Write your own money story with Monarch. Use the code LUCKY at monarch.com to get your first year of Monarch Core half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with the code LUCKY. Super important.
Yeah.
Super, super important
Yeah.
to do that. And I want to come back to something that you just mentioned about people not always remembering that these are real people on the other side. I think it can be very easy to think this is on my phone and it's something that I'm tapped into
It's
and I'm entertained.
It's
Or
entertainment.
like this person is now your little sim that you can tell what to do. But it's like, no, these are real living, breathing people who these real, if they're telling the truth, these real things happen to them. They're dealing with real repercussions. And this isn't something that's purely happening for entertainment.
Right.
And I think sometimes people get confused about that or they forget that.
Because sometimes I think people look at TikTok and Instagram, that is their television.
Yep.
And you're looking at these stories as these are characters, when in fact these are real people. I'm not talking, I mean, I know that there are fictitious stories on TikTok, but these multi-part series where people are actually taking the time to tell the world what has happened to them, those aren't characters. These are real people. And my heart goes out to some of them because I've seen it in my DMs. They have told me it wasn't worth it. But again, you see what you feel is glitz and glamour. You see, I could get a brand deal. You see that you can make all this money. And let's not even go into what happens when you make more money. Because people don't talk about this stuff. You know, it's like no one wants to really say, yeah, I made $75,000 off of a brand deal. Okay. But now I want you to tell the people how much you had to spend out of that. Because before that money comes to you, it more than likely 20% off the top went to someone else. 10% went to someone else. Then depending on what you had to pay for, hair, makeup, travel, security, attorney, like all of these things. So it's so easy to show how you're shopping in Louis Vuitton. I'm guilty of that. I went into Louis Vuitton. I bought a purse. And it was a fun experience. But now you're going to have to tell the people you had to pay tax on that. Again, social media, when people say social media is not real, I'm like, it's not, because we have been conditioned to think that this is my favorite TV show and it'll be someone's life-changing story. You know, she did the 50-part series and now I'm gonna do a 21-part series because I want the brand deals. I want to get signed. I want a TV show and I want podcasts and I want this and I want that. And I want that for you. I just want you to know the cost.
Yeah. Super important to talk about.
It's like I'm trying to be the good friend that's like, hey friend, I want that for you. But I just want you to know there's a cost to that. So just be mindful.
Yep.
If you're still good with it, I'm going to watch. I'm going to hit like. I don't know if I'm going to follow. But I'm going to like. and we're just going to keep it moving. But at least I told you at least I told you that there is a cost.
Yep.
And the cost is different for every person. Because the cost is also dependent upon what your story was about.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's just the truth.
And I think that there are a couple of specific topics that really get the people going more than anything else. And relationships and anything involving romantic relationships is near the top of that list.
And then you have to be careful because social media is fickle. I know this for a fact. You're hot in March. You are ice cold by July, August. So social media will make you think that you have to continuously do things to keep people's attention, to keep those brand deals, to keep that money coming in. And if you are not careful, you will lose who you are because you're so busy trying to get views. You're so busy trying to get followers. And so you're doing things that's not even authentic to who you are, because all of this started by you sharing a story, and now you want that money coming back. You want to, you want people to know who you are. And so you're doing all kinds of stuff like rage baiting. I hate rage bait.
I do too.
I hate rage bait.
I'm so tired of it.
Because it seems like it's a quick money grab. Because again, they want the views. They want the comments. They want the interaction. But it's like, is that what you want to be known for?
Yeah.
And I say this as the woman who, I didn't really want to be known as that chick that got played by that dude in the 50-part series. I didn't. I didn't want to be the poster child for, as one person called it, desperation. So I had to learn the hard way. And that's what I mean. Not every lesson do you yourself have to learn. So.
Yeah.
But they want that money.
They do. It looks really shiny.
It
I think
looks shiny.
especially, and I think the economy has added to that even more, where times are hard. People are out of work.
Yeah.
Things are expensive. People can't afford to eat. So then you go online and you see what looks like a quick way to make a buck when we could all use more.
Yeah.
And I think, really perpetuates it even more.
You see someone driving a brand new Mercedes and you're like, I want that.
Yeah.
Having no idea that they're 4 payments behind and they're about to lose it.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to show that.
Mm-mm.
And that's why I'm telling you, it's exhausting. Like when I think about in 2024, the mental gymnastics that I went through, because again, this went viral. And I absolutely had a moment where I was like, oh my God, I need another story time. I had that moment where I really was like, well, what can I do another series about that would keep people's attention? And it got to a place where I had to be honest with myself, like, are you really about to like not create a story, but tell an unnecessary story for the sole purpose of staying hot? Mm-hmm. Like, that's not even me. And I'm grateful that this happened at 39 because I don't know what I would have been like if I had gone viral at 25. I really don't. Because I almost quit my job. And I almost quit my job because it was like, I mean, I'm making money. Like, I don't need y'all. And that wouldn't have been wisdom. But no one talks about wisdom because wisdom is not sexy in our society. But yeah, social media can make you feel like, child, I'm Reesa Teesa. And for the record, I do talk about this in the book. I have moments where I absolutely have to hype myself up. Like, girl, you were Reesa Teesa.
Yes.
500 million people have seen you. Go do that interview.
Yeah.
But it's to your point and to your question. I know that there is this trend of follow for part 5. A trend for, okay, this is part 20. This is part 27. I'm happy people are telling their story. I just know social media can be fickle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true. It's so true.
Yeah.
And I think it's also what makes other forms of media, like books, even more important because not only can you go deeper in a story, because even still on social media, even if you have something with multiple parts, there's still only so many ways that you can convey something. Yeah. And the deeper introspection that comes, I think, from writing is something really powerful. So I would love to talk more about your experience writing the book and if you felt like kind of the faucet came on again, but this time in written form, and how that felt for you.
Writing the book was harder than the series. Absolutely. Writing the book was like writing in your journal. So writing the book was really admitting the quiet things out loud or admitting the quiet things. Doing the audiobook was harder than writing the book because the audiobook, you're actually, think of it as you were reading your journal to the world. So it was different layers. That's the reason why I say the book is very raw. It is very authentic. It's very naked. I use those words because I know that there are parts in this book that are ugly, that are sad. I say to people, I've said this in different videos, the book is going to make you laugh. The book is going to make you probably tear up because there's some parts that absolutely, I cried in the studio when I read the audio just because it pulled at the heartstrings. And then there are parts that are going to make you cringe, but it's real. And so I'm the first to tell you, doing this book, I say is my baby because it was literally harder than doing the series. The series is me telling you a story about something that happened to me. The book is almost telling you why I'm wired the way I'm wired. So that's a whole different introspect. That's a whole different self-reflection. I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad I did it the way that I did it. But when people ask me how's it been going, promoting the book, I have been telling people I admit I'm nervous. What are you nervous about? Well, I'm nervous because the book it's out there. Mm-hmm. My editor was like, "Are we leaving that in?" The collaborator was like, "You really want to tell that story?" Yes. Robin Roberts, who I hope she sees this, I love her. She was like, "You really put it out there." So, I did. And I did that intentionally, not only for young Reesa, but I did that intentionally for 60-year-old Reesa, who someday will look back on this and be like, I'm proud that I kept it real. The 41-year-old Reesa is nervous because my mother has not read the book yet. So that's my truth. Mm-hmm. But it was absolutely harder than the series.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Who are you hoping the book will help?
I hope the book reaches every reader exactly where they need it. Mm-hmm. Because the book is not, all 14 chapters is not for every single person. But I hope that there are parts of the book that each person that reads it or listens to it, there's a part that touches them. There's a part that clicks for them. There's a part that makes them laugh and they're like, man, I did the same thing. Those who understand the parts that made me cry and they feel like no one gets it, I hope that the book reaches them and they're like, she got it.
Yeah.
The people who are cynical, because I describe it as, again, we've all been through something. Everyone has a story. But when it comes to a relationship, I believe that people come to a crossroads where you have to decide if you're going to be cynical or if you're still going to believe in love. Are you going to be bitter or are you going to be hopeful? We all come to that crossroad. For me, this book represents me coming to that crossroad. The people who were cynical, the people who were bitter, I hope this book touches something in them where they're like, you know what, maybe I can try this. Maybe. I'm not asking them to change who they are, but maybe. And a maybe is powerful. It's a little hopeful. The people who were like, man, she lied. I hope the book reaches them. And there's something in there where they're like, dang, like, you see me as human. You know what I mean? And the people who bought it for entertainment, because there are people who are going to buy it just to see what stories are in there. Like, what she say about Legion? What did she say about this or that? I hope the book reaches them and they feel like she really is a great storyteller. Like, outside of everything else, I enjoyed the read. So I hope the book reaches each and every reader or listener exactly where they need it, if that makes sense.
It definitely
that's
does.
What I hope.
It definitely does. I love that. So before we wrap up, I would love to do a rapid fire with you, which I think it'll be fun.
Okay.
I do fun rapid fires.
Okay.
Nothing crazy.
Okay.
Let's do it. Let's do this rapid fire. The advice you would give story time you before she hit record.
Reesa, do not record with a bonnet on your head or a skull cap because that is do not record with the heatless curlers on your head because those are the pictures that are going to be used on national television more than anything else. So wear hair. It can be different hair, but wear some hair. Please. It's like, don't nobody want to use any of the parts of this series where my hair was done. Wear some hair.
Dirty. Like, why do they take those screen grabs?
I know.
One thing you always trust your gut on now.
The vibe a person gives me. Mm-hmm. The vibe. You ever meet someone, they didn't even open their mouth, but there was a vibe. Mm-hmm. You ever meet someone, they didn't open their mouth and it's something warm about them. It's just like, there's just something about them. I know someone, and he's one of my coworkers. I know someone where his vibe is, if he's in a room, everything is okay. Because because I work in law enforcement. So there's certain, I've been around a lot of law enforcement, but he's one of those people where if he's in the room, everything is good. It's a warmness, right? It's a protectiveness. I trust my intuition on vibes now because I don't necessarily have to wait for, hi, my name is. Because sometimes your vibe spoke long before you ever extended your hand.
So
I trust
true.
her own vibes.
What the F do I do now taught you that who the F did I marry did not?
You are fearfully made. You are amazing. Not in a cocky kind of way, not in a conceited way, not in an arrogant way. Just in a, bitch, you are amazing. I don't know if I can say that. You are amazing.
Yeah.
Because that really would have crushed other people. It did not crush you. And here you are. I was saying this in the car on the way here. 500 million people have in some way or another listened to your story or have seen your face. You are amazing. So the days of, I don't know. Again, it's not a conceited or an arrogance. It's just what the F do I do now has taught me you were fearfully made. You can handle a lot. Who the F did I marry taught me you have a gift. I admit that. I admit because I've always been a storyteller. I've always been a little girl who's going to tell you from A to Z what happened. And that taught me you really do have a gift because you cannot explain me. I cannot explain to you why an app that was designed for 30 to 60 seconds allowed 8 hours of storytelling, just talking. 8 hours of talking in 10-minute videos went insanely viral the way it did. I can't explain that. So I do acknowledge you have a God-given gift in who the F did I marry. And yes, you learned a lot. Yes, it was painful. But what the F do I do now has taught me, honey, you're a lot stronger than you were giving yourself credit for.
Absolutely.
Now, God, please don't give me no more tests. Just tired.
The hardest part about writing your book?
Admitting that sometimes alone versus loneliness in my life have overlapped. Admitting that your fear of being alone after all the things that you've done, you are alone. And admitting to the world, the readers and the listeners, that sometimes I battle loneliness because it seems as if no one wants to admit that. That's hard. That was hard to talk about and hard to give examples of why that's a struggle, why that is an internal struggle. Because again, I spent so long trying to avoid it. And so here I am in the middle of it. Yes, some days it's really like, oh my God, girl, I love walking around my house. It's just my house. It's just me there. When I leave, it's in the same condition. When I come back, I'm not dealing with nobody. There are days where that's beautiful. There are also days where I acknowledge I'm currently on a week tour of doing, all kinds of stuff for the book. I acknowledge that I have moments where it's like, God, I wish I was going home to someone to talk about all this, to share all this with, to share the anxiety, the stress, the frustration, the ups and the downs, the excitement, the book has been released. I do wish that I had those moments, or excuse me, I have those moments where I wish that I did have someone. So what was hard in the book is admitting that you experience both. You are alone. It's not defining you, but you do have moments where you feel it, where you recognize no one is at home waiting on you to arrive. Like if something happens, again, these are things I talk about in the book, where if something happens, how long would it take for someone to find me? That's hard. That's hard to admit. But I believe there are a lot of people who know what that feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what that feels
Yeah.
like. Definitely.
Alone does not mean lonely. But I'm admitting that there are times I feel incredibly lonely in a world where everybody knows your name. Okay, not everybody, but you know.
500 million people do. And the best part about writing your book has been?
It's mine. No one beat me to the punch to tell my story. No one can take it away from me. That's the best part. And what I mean by no one can take it away from me, I wrote it, I stand on it, my name's on it, the name I own, it's mine. So even if someone was like, we want the rights to your book, or we want to turn your book into a movie, I'm going to be at the table because it's mine. And it was said in my voice. It was said in my tone. It was said in my funny, loud moments. It was said in my quiet, sad moments. It's mine. And I wrote that book. Books are forever. I wanted a small piece of forever. But I wrote it, like I said, for young Reesa, and I wrote it for old Reesa, who can look back and really be like, yeah, I wrote a book.
Yeah.
I'm a published author.
And both versions of you, I'm sure,
Yeah.
would be so proud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my hope. Well, yeah, I younger me would be so proud. And my hope is that the older me looks back and is like, wow, you didn't cower out. You know what I mean? You didn't say, no, I'm not gonna write a book. I'm gonna just let Who the F Did I Marry be what it is, let it die out, and just live my life in the countryside and, pick flowers in the spring. I didn't do that. Instead, I stood in my truth, even when I'm the only one standing on it.
I think we're all grateful that you did.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
I loved chatting with you. It was. I loved chatting with you. Please let everybody know where they can get the book. It's out now.
It's everywhere. So you can get it at Barnes & Noble, Amazon. Listen, you can literally do a Google search. What the F do I do now? And it'll come up with all the different ways you can order it. It's available hard copy and audio.
Amazing. And we'll link to it in the description too to make it easy as well for all the girls listening and watching.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of She's So Lucky. If you enjoyed today's episode, leave us a comment below. Let me know your favorite part of the conversation and make sure you head to the description to get your copy of the book. Thank you again for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.